Your life, your story.
You are creating the story of your life. So what story are you telling about yourself? Do you believe there are things you can and cannot do? Is that the story you are telling about yourself? Because that story is not true. Don't listen if someone says you are less than anyone else. Don't listen if someone says you are limited in any way. Don't listen if someone says you can't do what you love to do and earn a living from it. Don't listen if someone says you are not as valuable and worthy as the greatest human beings who've lived. Don't listen if someone says you are not good enough now and you have to prove yourself in life. Don't listen if someone says you can't have what you love or do what you love or be what you love. If you believe it, you put limits on yourself. But more importantly, it is not true. There is not a single thing that is too good for you or too good to be true. The force of love says, whatever you give, you receive back. Does that say you're not good enough? The force of love says, give love for whatever you want to be, do or have, and you will receive it. Does that say you're not good enough? You are worthy and deserving just as you are. You are good enough now. If you feel you have done something that wasn't right, understand that your realization and acceptance of it is absolution for the law of attraction.
The real world.
In the beginning, there were only probabilities. The universe could only come into existence if someone observed it. It does not matter that the observers turned up several billion years later. The universe exists because we are aware of it. Martin Rees, contemporary astrophysicist.
I want to take you behind the scenes of the world you see, because much of what you see is not as real as you may think it is. A few adventurous steps into the invisible will change the way you look at the world, and it will set you free to receive an unlimited life. Most of the things you may currently believe about the real world are not true. You are much more than you may realize. Life and the universe are much more than you may realize. You may think there is a limited amount of things in the world. You may think there's a limited amount of money, health and resources, but it isn't true. There is no lack of anything. Quantum physics tells us there are infinite planet Earths and infinite universes that exist. And we move from one reality of planet Earth and a universe to another every fraction of a second. This is the real world emerging through science.
In our universe, we are tuned into the frequency that corresponds to physical reality. But there are an infinite number of parallel realities coexisting with us in the same room, although we cannot tune into them. Steven Weinberg, contemporary Nobel Prize-winning quantum physicist.
You may think there's a shortage of time in the real world, and because of that you may live your life rushing against time. But the great scientist Albert Einstein told us that time is an illusion.
The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Albert Einstein, 20th century Nobel Prize-winning physicist.
You may think that the real world is made up of living things and dead things. But in the universe, everything is alive and nothing is dead. The stars, sun, planets, earth, air, water, fire, and every object you see is seething with life. This is the real world that is emerging.
There is a sense in the tree which feels your love and responds to it. It does not respond or show its pleasure in our way, or in any way we can now understand. Prentice Mulford, 19th century New Thought author.
You may believe the real world is everything you can see, and that everything you can't see isn't real. And yet the colour you see when you look at something is in fact not its real colour. Each thing absorbs all the colours that it really is and reflects the colour it is not. And that's the colour you see. So the sky is actually every colour but blue. There are many sounds you can't hear because their frequencies are beyond what your ear can perceive, but they are real. You can't see ultraviolet or infrared light because their frequencies are beyond what your eye can see, but they are real. If you imagine all the known frequencies of light as the size of Mount Everest, then all that you can see is smaller than a golf ball. You may believe the real world is made up of all the solid things you can see and touch, but actually nothing is solid. The chair you're sitting on right now is a force of moving energy, and it's mostly space. So how real is your chair?
A wise man, recognizing that the world is but an illusion, does not act as if it is real. So, therefore, he escapes the suffering. Gautama Buddha, 5th century BC, founder of Buddhism.
You may believe that your imagination is just thoughts and dreams and has no power in the real world. And yet one of the hurdles for scientists in proving things to be true or not is removing the scientist's beliefs from scientific experiments. Because what the scientist believes or imagines will be the outcome of an experiment affects the outcome of the experiment. This is the power of human imagination and beliefs. Just as the scientist's beliefs affect the outcome of an experiment, so do your beliefs affect the outcome of your life. Your beliefs, true or untrue, form your world. What you imagine and feel to be true creates your life, because that is what you're giving to the law of attraction. And that is what will be returned to you. Your imagination is more real than the world you see, because the world you see comes from what you imagine and believe. What you believe and feel to be true is what will be your life. If you believe you can't have the life you dream of, then the law of attraction must follow what you say, and that will be your real world.
To believe in the things you can see and touch is no belief at all. But to believe in the unseen is a triumph and a blessing. Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of the United States.
A story of limitation has been passed on from one generation to the next through the history of humanity. But the time has come to tell the real story. The real story is that you are an unlimited being. The real story is that the world and the universe are unlimited. There are worlds and possibilities that you cannot see, but all of them exist. You have to start telling a different story. You have to start telling the story of your amazing life. Because whatever story you tell, good or bad, the law of attraction must make sure you receive it, and it will be the story of your life. Imagine and feel what you want, and those will be the pictures you receive back in your life. Give love as much as you can and feel as good as you can, and the force of love will surround you with people, circumstances, and events that you love. You can be whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. What do you love? What do you want? Let go of anything you don't love about your life story and just keep the things you love. If you hold on to negative things from your past, then you keep putting them into your story every time you remember them, and they go back into the pictures of your life now. Let go of the things you don't love about your childhood and keep the things you love. Let go of the things you don't love about your adolescent and adult years and keep the good things. Just keep the things you love about your whole life. All the negative things of the past are done, finished. You are not the same person as you were then, so why keep putting them in your story if they make you feel bad? You don't have to dig negative things out of you from the past. Just don't put them in your story anymore.
A mighty, eternal, and incomprehensible force pushes us all forward. But while all are so being pushed, many linger and look back. Unconsciously, they oppose this force. Prentice Mulford, 19th century New Thought author.
If you keep telling a story of being a victim, then those pictures will play over and over again in your life. If you keep telling a story that you're not as smart as other people, or not as attractive as other people, or not as talented as other people, you will be right, because they will become the pictures of your life. When you fill your life with love, you'll find that guilt, resentment, and any negative feelings will leave you. And then you will start telling the greatest story ever told. And the force of love will light up your life with the pictures of the real story of your amazing life.
Love is the greatest power on earth. It conquers all things. Peace Pilgrim, born Mildred Lizette Norman, 20th century peace activist.
Points of power. Life presents everything to you for you to choose what you love. If someone has something you want, be as excited as though you have it. If you feel love for it, you are bringing the same thing to you. When you see the things you want, it means you are on the same frequency as those things. Life's catalog contains things you don't love, so don't choose them by giving bad feelings. Turn away from the things you don't love and don't give them any feeling. Instead, say yes when you see something you love. The law of attraction is responding to your feelings. It's only what you give that counts. The law of attraction is the law of you. Give judgment and criticism, and you give it to yourself. Give love and appreciation to another person or anything, and you give it to yourself. When people see a lack of anything, it's simply a lack of love. You are good enough now. If you have done something that wasn't right, your realization and acceptance of it is absolution for the law of attraction. It's your beliefs, true or untrue, that form your world. Your imagination is more real than the world you see, because the world you see comes from what you imagine and believe. What you believe and feel to be true is what will be your life. Whatever story you tell, whether good or bad, will be the story of your life. So start telling the story of your amazing life, and the law of attraction must make sure you receive it.